Andrew Berry, wrapping up the season, the end of the year get-together with the media, talked about the challenges of having back-to-back disappointing seasons after that playoff season.
I say this every year. Every season is unique. We work in a super competitive sport, super competitive industry. It's hard and competitive to get to the playoffs. So to think that just because you go 1 year, just snap your fingers and go back, it takes a lot of effort. And we're back at base camp right here in January as we prepare for 2023. So we are under no illusions in terms of the work that it takes every year to try and scale the mountain and get back. Kevin may know the statistic better than I do, but how much turnover is there per year? How many new playoff teams per year? I'm putting you on the spot?
Yeah, put me on the spot.
Well, it's a fair amount of turnover.
Research department, get on it.
There we go, right, for Tony. But basically, look, it's hard. It's hard, and we don't underestimate that by any means.
Casey, the old thought is it's more difficult to become a consistent playoff team from a mediocre team than it is to get from the 3-4 wins to the 8-9 wins where they're at. So they've kind of gotten to that mediocre. Now, it only gets tougher to be a consistent playoff team.
Yeah, they climbed that first level, from just being abysmal to now, they're in that 7-8 win range. And I think they were 2-5 in one-score games this year. It comes down to the little things, those say 3 plays go their way, they're 10-7 and they're in the playoffs, and we're feeling good about the situation. But they didn't, so we're here now, and they have to examine everything. They have to really take a look at themselves and see what caused this. This team is way too talented to be sitting home right now in January at 7-10, and that's the reality of the situation. And they have to look themselves in the mirror and find out why that is.
Yeah, I was one of the many people who kind of laughed when people said that the Steelers were going to finish ahead of the Browns. There's no way that roster should finish ahead of the Browns roster. There just isn't.
If you look around the league, there's tons of teams that outperform the Browns from a win perspective that had no business doing it, with the roster that they had. So when the whole's not as great as the sum of the parts, you really got to pull it apart. And that's what this offseason is going to be about. And strap in, because if you thought last offseason was long, this one's going to be a doozy.
Yeah, and there are not going to be the big splashy additions because there will be additions. It's just you're not going to get the high-profile ones because you just can't. You have your high-profile players.
Yeah, they're going to be strapped. They're going to have to really flip over the stones and kind of find some hidden gems, to make this work, because they're not going to go out and get the names. And you're going to see the names out there. Teams are going to cut people. I know DeAndre Hopkins has been a popular one this week. If the Cardinals move on from him, everyone's plotting and scheming. How can the Browns get him? They can't. That's the answer. They just can't.
Yeah, they're going to want first-round picks. And, they're already talking Tyreek Hill and that kind of – and the Browns do not have the assets to go and do something like that.